Hello everyone and welcome to Temicodes, and today we are building an anime locator app, which means that once you supply an image URL to the app, is going to return a list of animes that the image is found. So let's see. So we are using this API from Trismo, and this is the documentations, and we are looking at the search endpoint basically, and we are going to pass in an image URL into the as a param to this URL, and it's going to return an example response. This response basically is going to return an anime, the file name, and the episode the image is found. So I have done a sample here. I found an image and it returns a list of animes for us. Okay, so let's get started. Right, we have a blank app here, and the first thing we need to do is to install the dependencies we are going to be needing. So go over to your dependency file, hawkspec.yaml file, and then add the following dependency. We are going to be using buildrunner 2.0.4. This is what you'll be using to build our code generation, and also okay, we are going to be needing Duo. This is what we'll be using for our HTTP request. We'll be using Flutter hooks, and also we'll be using Freezed. We'll be using hooks Riverpod for state management. Is the Riverpod version of hooks, and then we'll be using JSON serializable for our Freezed as well. Now, when you have all these dependencies ready, you hit on save, and it's going to install all the dependencies. All right, so go over to your main.dart file, and we are going to delete the boilerplate that comes with it. But we are going to create ours, and we are going to create a new file and call it home.dart. In the home.dart, we will create a stateless widget, and we'll call it home screen, and we import the material app, which is going to return a scaffold, and then we are going to call it here on screen. Okay, and at the root of your app, make sure that you have you wrap your main app with provider scope, and you are going to import that from hooks Riverpod. Yeah. Also, we are going to create a new class to log all our Riverpod events and states. So we are going to be having a logger class that extends provider observable, is from Riverpod, and we are going to pass it as an observer here in your provider scope. And so we are going to pass in the logger. Yes, something like this. Now let's go back to the home page and create a little UI for our project. So what we want to do is to have an app bar, and we call the app bar anime finder. And in the body, we are going to be having a column that has children. And in the first column, we will have a container that has a width of the whole screen. and has a padding of 20 on all sides, then we are going to have a child of column. And here we are going to put a text field. And now this is a text field that has a controller called search controller. But what we are going to do is to convert this widget to a hook widget, which we import. And on top of here, we are going to do search controller. And we will use the use text editing controller hooks. And then you go. All right, so let's save that and run on our mobile app, and let's see how it's going to look like. And we have built a basic UI, so let's write the logic for this. Now, we have in Postman, and this is the URL. So this is the endpoint. Once you pass in a parameter, it's going to just return a list of suggested searches where the movies probably appears. So we are going to be using Riverpod and Due to call all these contents and display it to the user. Now, the first thing we need to do is to create a folder called repository. This is where all our repository is, and we can have a new folder in the repository called models. Yeah. And in repository, we have a repository called anime repository. That is going to be a repository of animes. Okay. Now, let's provide, the first thing is to provide Due so that we can use it to do our HTTP calls. So it will be provider, and provider has a ref Due, and we are importing it from hooks and also Due from Due. And once we have that, we can create a class called anime repository. Now we are going to pass in a reader here, which is from Riverpod to read providers. And we are going to just create constructor for this. Yeah. Now let's create a method called getAnime, and it's going to take a string of URL, and it's going to be async because we are going to be calling a feature, and here is going to return a feature of something. Okay, so let's go model what our animes is going to look like. All right, in our Postman, we have how it looks like here. So we are supposed to model this. So okay, so in our models folder, we are going to create a new file called anime model.dart, and our model is going to look like this. So basically, we have a path file anime model.freeze and anime model.g.dart. So if you need to learn freeze, you can go over and look at the documentations, or you could just generate it from quick type, which I have done here. So basically what I've done is to go over to the result, grab my JSON, and just put it inside of QuickType, and it's going to make sure you select the generate class definition with freezed, and it's going to generate it. This is a little outdated, but because it doesn't come with null safety, but then you can update that on your code. All right. So after this is what I've modeled, and the next thing you need to do is to run your build runner. So you come over here and go to your terminal, and you're going to run Flutter pub run build runner watch deletes conflicting outputs. So what this does is that it's going to do a code generation for you, and it's going to watch when there is a change in your model, and also it's going to delete outputs that are conflicting anytime it does a build for you. So let's run that, and we have this generated for us. All right, so this has generated for us. So you have two extra files here, which is your .freezed and your .g.dart, which is cool. So we go over to our anime repository and just pass in our anime model, which is like this. So now we need to implement this. So we need to construct an endpoint for it. So let's go back to our postman, and this is how the URL is going to look like. So I'm just gonna grab that and paste it here. But we want to make this URL unique. And so that means that we are going to just pass in the URL here. Okay, makes sense. Now we are going to do a try catch to do to call our endpoints, and we are going to say final response equals to await, and we are going to call on the read from Riverpod, and it's going to read our DO provider, and we're going to do a get and pass in our endpoints. And once we have done that, we just return. And if you go back to our anime model, QuickType generated something, and anime model from JSON. So this is going to take in a map, and it's going to help us map to our model, and it comes with that. And so I'm just going to use that function, and we're passing our response.data. Now we need to implement this as well, but we want to catch an error on due error, so that is going to help us. And let's put in a little bit of check here. If our response.data is not equals to null, I'm sorry, it's going to be e.response.data is not equals to null. We are going to just throw e.response.data. So there's a it's possible that it comes as null, so we make that nullable. If it doesn't, we'll just show the error, and there you go. So we have our repository here, and the next thing we need to do is to create our notifier, request notifier, and so we are going to go to the library live folder and create a new folder called state, and in the state we are going to create a new file and call it request notifier. request state notifier dot, and we are basically going to just do this. So what this does is that we are going to be using freeze to do a code generator, and this is a generic class, and we have the state here. If you have not done any action, it's going to be idle. Once you have done an action, it's going to load first. After loading, if there's a success, it's going to return success. If there's an error, it's going to return an error. And the default is that it is idle. So basically that's the default state. And when we save this, our code generator will run again, and it's going to generate a freeze file for this. Okay, done. So we have the freeze file here that is code generated. So we can go ahead and use that in our anime repository. So how do you do that? We are going to just create a class and call it get anime requests notifier, and it's going to extend our request state notifier, which is here, and we will make it of type anime model. So that means that it's going to return an anime model. And we are going to create the anime repository, which is repository, and then create a constructor for this. It's going to complain, so we create a constructor, which is fine. And so we are going to create a get anime method, and we pass in a string of URL. And so we want to do the request. But if you go over to our state notifier class, there is a make request, which takes in a function and is going to, it's the one that handles all your requests. So basically, we are just going to call make request here. And so inside here, we will do our repository that we should be able to see get anime, and our URL, which is a string, goes here. So that is fine. Okay, and once we save that, we are almost there. Next thing we are going to do is to have an anime provider. But before that, we have an anime repository, so we need to provide that to our request notifier. So we are going to create an anime repository provider, which is going to have provider, and it's going to take on ref. That's the provider reference, and we will have anime repository, which is expecting a provider in itself, is expecting a reader. So to do that, we are going to just pass in ref.read. Okay, so we pass in the reader from here into the anime repository, which is fine. And now that we have been able to read this repository, now we need to read the get anime request notifier as well. So we're just going to call it anime provider, and it's going to be our state notifier provider. It's going to be a state notifier provider, and because it's going to be notifying you of states, and we're just passing get anime requests. Notifier is going to return a request state, which is of type anime model. And yeah, it's going to take on a ref, and it's going to return the get anime request notifier. So it's expecting a repository here. So to get the repository, we're just going to do a dependency injection here, and going to be anime repository provider, and that should do it. All right. So we have been able to provide an anime provider. So this is what we call on the UI. So let's see how to do that. So let's go back to our home.dart, and now let's use our anime provider there. Okay, so let's move this a little bit down, and then if you want to use the provider, you are just going to call the use provider, and you are going to pass in the provider, which is our anime provider, and let's import that, which is imported, and we're just to use the states. There's a .when method here, and you can see all our state errors, idle, no loading, and success. So I want it to automatically do hit it. Okay, so on error, we are going to just return a text. On error is going to return an error and the stack trace, which we don't need. And we are telling it that, okay, on error, show a text with our error. Also, it needs idle, it needs loading, it needs success as well. So we are going to supply all this. All right, for the loading, all we need to do is just to pass in a circular loading indicator, which we are going to provide here. For the idle, we want to tell the user that they should search for something, enter a valid URL, which we have done here. Okay, so how about when there is data? So we are going to copy the padding here and just put it here. And we'll basically just return the padding. So let's just remove this. Okay, so let's pass in the data here. Do you remember this card has to be a list of cards? So we are going to do for the anime in value docs. Value.docs might be null, so we are doing nullable. And for the first list, the title, we are going to do something like this. As we are removing this const, so we don't need that. For the episode, we are going to tell which episode the anime appears in, and where it is located, which is this art, and also the similarity, like how accurate is it, and we are going to pass that. And once we save that, we are good to go. So on idle is telling us to enter a valid image URL. Once there's an error, we will not it's going to show the error. And once there's a success, it's going to show us a list of cards. And if there's a loading, then of course, it's going to show a loading indicator. Okay, so let's test that out. I need to paste in an image here, but I don't think I can paste. So I'm going to run this on the web so that I'll be able to do that and then test that out. On the web, it scales nicely and it looks good. And I have an image here, which is an anime. So let's copy that and try if it's going to work. And we're going to paste it here. And hitting search. Okay, so we are not done yet. We are supposed to pass our what is in our text box into our button, which we have not done. So we are going to do that here. And we are going to do a context.read. I'm passing our provider, which is our anime provider. But this time you should do .notifier to be able to have access to that. And if you do dots, you'll be able to see .get anime. So the URL will be our search controller, but this time it will be .text. And when you save that, it's going to hot restart. And let us paste the URL again, and we should be able to have it now. Okay, search, and the circular load indicator comes. Okay, and we have a result, but then there is a little problem here, which we can easily fix by putting this column in a single child scroll view, and we're going to wrap it in a single scroll view, single child scroll view. And that should fix our problem. Let's copy the image again, paste it here, and we should be good to go. Okay, right. Okay, so that is the end of this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for future tutorial, and you can play around with this. And also you can improve the code. For example, you should validate this text field because it's not validated, so that it will not return null when somebody posts something there. So let's say I didn't post anything here, and you click on search, image is empty, it's returning that. Let's say also I think our error message is okay. So if I post a wrong image, it's going to show you that it has failed to fetch, and so you can improve on it and a lot of stuff. All right, so thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.